Morris, the editor of Professional Tool and Equipment News, with another edition of Industry Insights. Today we're going to talk about service information challenges and what is being done about them. The National Automotive Service Task Force will be holding a fall general meeting on November 6th in Las Vegas during Apex and SEMA. Those of you planning to attend these shows will find it worth your time to learn what NASTF is doing to address the need to make service information available to independent shops. We're here today with Skip Potter, the Executive Director, to learn more about this opportunity for shops and technicians. Skip, just how big is the service information gap today?
I'd say it's much less today than it once was, but techs should still file the SIR, the Service Information Request, on the NASTF website. File those whenever they find one. NASTF's SIRs allow me to work with the OEMs to fix their website navigation issues in many cases, to fix their internal policy issues sometimes, and even to find errors in their website information that may be even wrong for their dealers.
Skip, how does NASTF help independent technicians get OEM service information?
There are two types of tool issues I deal with, Elliot. One is the availability of OEM tools to aftermarket technicians, and the other is OEM tool build information needed by the tool makers. On the first issue, here's an example. In June, I heard from a lot of techs who had been waiting for months to get their hands on the Subaru scan tool that they ordered. Turns out Subaru had placed a big order with Hitachi for the dealer version of that tool. Finally, at the request from NASTF, Subaru asked Hitachi to interrupt their production for their dealer tool order and make a bunch of aftermarket tools so the aftermarket techs wouldn't have to wait. The independents who were told they might be waiting until October or November should now get their Subaru scan tool sometimes here in August. On the issue number 2, NASTF is not involved much beyond the official channel of our Service Information Request, the SIR. We are partners with ETI, the Equipment and Tool Institute, on this. ETI has their tool summits every year that bring together OEM engineers and toolmaker engineers. So when an aftermarket toolmaker wants to build a tool for a specific OEM service task, the technical link is there at ETI. So at ETI, that will make that happen. NASTF gets involved when that system breaks down. Sometimes it's the technician who find these issues. So again, I encourage techs with these gaps to file an SIR from our NASTF website.
NASTF works to identify issues with OEMs, but it is up to the aftermarket shops and technicians to make NASTF aware of service gaps. But given the high cost of aftermarket service tools and the increasing number of tools a technician now needs, what can be done about the tool gap?
We have all seen, Elliot, over the years how technology gets faster, cheaper, and better over time. I can buy a faster, cheaper, and better computer. I can buy a faster, cheaper, and better phone and TV today than I could 5 years ago. That same phenomenon has to happen in service tools. So here's my opinion on this. As more and more service information goes from the tool to a website, and more of the capabilities incorporate technologies like the J2534 pass-through, and more of the OEMs allow their service software to run on a computer alongside another OEM software, I do see the investment for service tools consolidating. So it should cost less 5 years from now for the tools to service 10 OEM brands than it did to service those 10 brands 5 years ago. So you compare 10 brands before with 10 brands in the future, I'd say costs are going to be consolidated somewhat.
So you think that service information costs will be declining. That's good. But in the meantime, the gap exists. During the NASTF spring meeting in Overland Park, Kansas, one OE representative commented that technical education today is too focused on pattern failures and not enough on system understanding that would be useful in developing diagnostic skills. Skip, how can the education gap be addressed?
Technical education for technicians is not just a problem in the aftermarket, Elliot. You might remember that one of the OEMs in that NASTF spring general meeting session that you just referred to said also many dealers have a hard time keeping techs educated too. In both cases, the tech education deficit is nothing new. It's been around for a long time. Every leader in this industry has been working to fix the education deficit for as long as I can remember. The education deficit is the bigger problem for our industry. The gap that NASTF is dealing with is a small component of that overall problem. The gap for NASTF is getting OEM education resources into education programming for the aftermarket technician. The NASTF Education Committee is in the early stages, Elliot, of setting a strategy for this, but I can tell you everyone on the NASTF board and every one of our committee members are talking about technical education. OEM education resources will be part of a big effort for NASTF in the future.
NASTF is working to address the service information gap. One takeaway from today's conversation is that NASTF is an interactive effort to address the problem. Every technician can be part of the solution working with the NASTF forum. So I encourage everyone who plans to be in Las Vegas for SEMA and APEX to attend the NASTF meeting on November 6th.